Welcome back to Becoming Next on Scene, everybody. I am so excited to be back here with the amazing Henry Weinreit. If you are not familiar with him, he is somebody you need to know and follow as he is officially rebranding. And Henry is a TV host, published author, presenter, and social enterprise activist. He's a founder and head designer of Henry Roth Bridal in New York City. He was featured on Good Morning America, Bravo, Say Yes to the Dress on E!, The View, starring in Project Runway Australia, host of Style Court on E!, live from the red carpet, 60 Minutes Australia, and also been on the Today Show in Australia. So if you are not familiar with him, you need to. He has a global reach, and he now has his awesome show called Henry and Friends Live on YouTube. He also is currently working on a book called Stories I Told My Son, which is a soon-to-be published memoir with his father, and it's capturing the stories of eternal love, deep passion, and bearing the souls between father and son. Henry, I am so excited to have you back. Welcome to the podcast.
Jackie, thank you so much for inviting me. I've been so excited once you invited me to do this interview, and here we are.
Here we are, right? Back to square one. So tell us, why did you decide to change your career? You have international success with your Henry Roth collection. You've been featured on Say Yes to the Dress. You've been featured on Tim Gunn role in Project Runway Australia. So why the change?
I think that's a really great question. I think anyone that starts writing, if you've never written or you're also about to publish a book, whatever it is, in the beginning, I think you always think that you're actually changing your career. The beautiful thing about writing, Jackie, is that you get these insights about yourself. You get really deep insights. Sometimes they're good, sometimes they're not. But you get not only an insight of yourself, but also you get a different perspective of the world around you. It's true for me. I had a lot of experience with, first of all, my Henry Roth collection. And I started to realize that is my actual love language, communication. So that was and still is my love language of communication with brides. Then, of course, now doing the show with you, doing Good Morning America, Project Runway Australia, The View, many other shows, I realized also there's a thread, and that's the communication of mass broadcasting. Then when I started writing, I started realizing, like a lot of people do, that there's a thread. Writing brings it all together. And so as a result, what I realized was that writing was communication on a very intimate level, on a very passionate level. And so in a way, yes, it's changing my career, but at the same time, it's also expanding it. And so we're at the precipice, we're just at the pointing end of the plane, if you like, of my father and I, after 3.5 years of sit-down interviews, about to submit our manuscript, The Stories I Told My Son.
So was that part of your aha moment of becoming a writer, as an author? What was your aha moment, to decide that you were going to write this book?
The aha moment, I think every single writer, Jackie, whether it's, a romance novelist, a person who writes novella, science fiction, which is one of my passions, has an aha moment. And it really sort of spurs you on from thinking you might want to write to really wanting to write. And I'd like to share, if you wouldn't mind, my story with all of you, if that's okay, because it's pretty intense, but writing is intense. So basically, it was the beginning of 2019. In Australia, it's boiling hot. I know you're doing Christmas, we're doing Christmas, but we just do it by the beach. And I was actually in Melbourne, where I was living, right in the middle of this shopping mall. It's all happening. My phone rings. It's my sister in New York saying, look, I don't have good news at all. Our father is really ill and he's in hospital. Literally 4 hours later, I dropped everything. I hailed a cab, took a flight. There he is. And when you go into hospital and it's critical and you've got that beep, 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 and it's like a stab, and you stand there and you have this deep love and deep remorse. And I begged my father to pull through, and I promised myself, pull through, and I'm going to relocate to Sydney, and we are going to sit down. It's a yearning so many people have. If only I could, if only I would. And the next morning, he was given these blood thinners all night. He was in a bad state of affairs. Interesting, that product, that blood thinner, is actually created, or big clinical studies was done by my brother-in-law. It's called Pradaxa. And Pradaxa saved his life. So believe it or not, right, I'm there, I'm lying on the floor, I've had no sleep, I'm hearing the beep, 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 but he's doing great. And he just gets up and he points to me and he says to me, "You're a traitor." Of all things, "You're a traitor." I'm like, okay, he's back, he's definitely back. I'm like, "Why am I a traitor?" He said, "Look, I brought you up to love Sydney, Australia, right? You are wearing an I Love Melbourne t-shirt. Come on." I mean, that was my aha moment. And he granted me that opportunity, which we all have as human beings. But fortunately, I have not lived to regret all the questions I wanted to ask my father. That was my aha moment.
So in terms of how people can follow you, stay in touch, like what would be your recommendations to do that and how they can get in touch?
I think the easiest thing is if you just want to try and introduce yourself on LinkedIn, and I'm very easy. It's Henry Weinreich, Weinreich. Or you might want to pop onto my Instagram, which my father and I run, which is The Stories I Told My Son. DM me if you've got any questions about becoming an author. Following this interview, I would be more than honoured to answer your questions.